Hello everyone, this is Lori Lytle with Mortgage Coach, and we're going to be starting our Thursday training in a few minutes. We're seeing a few people logging in, so just hold on and we'll go ahead and get this call going. Hello everyone and welcome to Mortgage Coaches Training Thursday. This is Lori Lytle and I will be hosting today's call. So today what we're going to do is focus on product and fee templates. We did have a lot of questions regarding that throughout the week, so I really want to dive into that and focus on those, as well as showing you how to copy master files and really dive into it so you can physically see how that's done and what you would see after that copy's made. Also want to talk a little bit about the widget. You do have a widget, and I'll show you how you could create it. It's just a simple link you can email a client or put on your web page, or just have it handy to forward even in a text. What the widget will do is be able to take the information from your borrower, and they can also add additional text, submit it, and then this data will go ahead and go into Mortgage Coach. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. It's just a little bit of pre-setup, a little contact information so you don't have to type it. Plus, you would have more accuracy with them typing their name. So we're going to cover that as well. So with Training Thursday, what you need to do, if you're new on the call, please open up your question area and go to meeting. And anytime throughout the call, ask any questions. If I've covered a topic you want to go back or see a screen, please put it in the question area and we'll just go back and cover that piece again. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and get started, everyone. Another thing, even though I'm talking about templates, if there is a particular scenario you want to see, please put that in the question area, and we'll also be able to talk about that scenario throughout the call and then show you how to create that presentation. So if there's a particular item you want to see created in Mortgage Coach, let us know, put it in that question area. So let's first start with the widget. So let's go ahead and put in some information here. I'm just going to put in John Smith, very original. And I'm going to use our support email address. And then just place in a number. And as they could add any kind of additional text. So if they want to know about, please provide me a quote, they can add additional information here. So now once they're done, they go ahead and press submit. When they press submit, what is happening here, it's taking that data they just provided and they're going to put it in your Mortgage Coach account. So when you go back into your Mortgage Coach account, you'll be able to see your file directly on the home screen. You'll notice that you don't see my John Smith here because I had my Mortgage Coach open when that process was made, so it just hasn't done a refresh yet. So let me show you how to do that. And for anyone who is working with an API such as Optimal Blue or Velma, if you have your Mortgage Coach account open and you pushed a file from OB to Mortgage Coach, you might not see it in the home screen as well because of that refresh. So all you need to do, it's quite simple. You just go to View All. You can sort down the name to make it narrow your search. I'm just going to go ahead and do a full search. It brings up your file, but all I'm going to do is press close. And now look at the home screen. You'll see my John Smith file right there. So let's go ahead and go into John Smith, and you'll see his phone name and phone number are already populated for you, and then you can start creating his presentation. So now how do you get that widget and how you'll be able to send that to your borrowers through a text or through an email? What you could do is go into your settings, and this is where that widget is located. If you go into your contact screen, you'll see at the very bottom center there is a button called Create Edge Widget. If you click on that, it's going to open up a new tab and ask you some information. So with that you have Create Widget. Do you want to, different items you want to see. You want to receive an email when an entry is received. So even though that data goes directly into Mortgage Coach, you're also going to receive an email with that data. Then you can go in and finish out that presentation. You can also receive a text alert as well. It will be your Mortgage Coach account. And then if you want it to an alternate number, it could send you that information. So this is where you define where that information to go as a secondary area. Okay, Christine, just one moment and we'll just review this, and I believe you want to know where I got to this particular screen. And I'll go back in just one second and show you how to get there. And that's exactly, everyone, ask questions, and we want to make sure you're comfortable with this. So next is a header text. So we automatically put in Get a Personal Edge report. So when we pull up this widget in a moment, you'll be able to see where that is. So if you want to modify it slightly different, maybe you want to put your name in that tagline, you could do that. So go ahead and modify that header. And if you want to have any additional text added to that. Remember when I was showing you the widget for the bar to add text? This is actually where you can add additional text. So let's go ahead and just add, just so you'll be able to see that additional text was in there. And you can also add a confirmation message. Again, we just have something simplistic. No, you don't, Cheryl. Cheryl, that's a great question. Cheryl's asking if you need to have a cell phone to use the widget. No, the widget is used on a desktop, which we'll show you. It's a link, so you can send it through an email, and your borrower can either click on it, use it through the desktop, or use it through their phone. So either way, it can be used. So now the confirmation, you could go ahead and add that. So anytime you make any updates, you want to update the form options. On the widget, you have the option to show your photo, your logo, and your address. All information you do want to have on that widget. Now below, what this information is, if you do have a web page and want to put this widget on your web page, this is the coded language that you would need. So you would just copy and paste and place that within your text. I'm with you, Les. Email this link. This is the link that you would use. So what I'm going to do is do a copy, and let's place that link within a new tab. So I'm doing a paste now. That is the same ID, and I'm pressing return. There is your personal widget. What a lot of people do is take that widget and they put it alongside their open house presentation. So if you're using an iPad at an open house, you could set up the open house presentation, and off to the left you can also have that widget. And if you want to see how that is viewed, let me know and I can pull up an open house flyer and show you. But that is a good way of just collecting the information digitally opposed to having them writing it down. And again, with physical writing, you always have to try to decipher their letter. So quick way of doing it, and the fact that it will go ahead and take that data and put it in Mortgage Coach. So how did I get there? Within Edge, if you click on Settings, you want to be in your Contact Info screen, and then down at the bottom center, that's where it will let you create the widget. So click on that. So if you're with me, go ahead and follow along. Okay. So I will show you in just a moment how you can put those side by side. It's just really formatting your screen, sort of how I show Edge Live when I split screens, but let me show you, and it's a great way of having both contact information, especially if you have that nice digital copy of the open house flyer presenting, and then having that contact information. Really great flow. So there you are. So as soon as you click that button, you have the way you could create that widget. Remember how you want to receive the information, alternate number if you would like. You can modify the header text, and let's go ahead and go over there. See, get a Edge report. This is that personal header. Remember length, guys, so you can't have something super, super long. Then it's the information of you that will display here. You have the option, remember, to post the image as well as that address and your logo. So if you're missing any of those pieces, remember, go back to that button and go ahead and make any kind of updates. If you do, go ahead and update the form. Okay, everyone, I have to admit, I don't exactly know what the word widget means. Sorry, Les, I was trying to avoid that question. So someone, if you know the definition of widget, please go ahead and put it in the question area. I can let everyone know. So here's the widget, which allows you to, what basically does, it's allowing you to be able to put a little information together side by side. So let's go ahead and show you how you put that open house presentation together. You know what, Cheryl? Let me find out about that. Cheryl's asking if it needs a phone number for it to work. Let me follow up with that, Cheryl, to find out, because everything's the link and the web. So let me definitely follow up with that kind of information to you. So
Hi,
with
Cheryl.
that, let's go.
Marcy in support. And
Perfect.
to jump in,
Thank you, Marcy.
you do actually need to have a cell phone number in order to create the widget. You can, however, use the actual widget from a desktop or your mobile phone. You just, as an originator, in order to create the widget, need to have your cell phone number entered into the settings section of Edge.
And Marcy, can you tell me what a widget is? What's the
Yes, the
definition?
widget is an
Thank you.
application or an interface. It allows the user to perform a function or access a service. In this case, we use it to go ahead and allow any of the new potential clients to go ahead and have their information sent directly over to you by entering in all of the information on that widget.
So all that information here. So no, that was great. Thank you so much, Marcy. And then Les is wondering if the cell phone number is the business number. That shouldn't matter, should it?
No, it will have to be the cell phone number. It will need to be the cell phone number.
It has to match the account?
It does not need to match the account. Whatever they go ahead and they enter into their settings section in Edge will actually be used. And as for a fax number, you don't have to have a fax number listed in there. The real important information that is needed to create that widget is just the cell phone number.
So whatever number they have in this area, then the widget can be created.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, and as you said, you don't need that fax number if you don't. That's fine. Okay, that was great. Thank you so much, Marcy. I'm glad you were there. And everyone, if you email us at support, Marcy and our team, we do reach out and be able to provide you information like that. So now let's go ahead and bring up the open house presentation. Let me show you how you can go ahead and put the open house presentation as well as the widget side by side. So what I'm going to do is pull my tab out, and basically what you're going to do is you're going to want to resize your screen. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put it probably over this way a little bit, and now let's go get that widget. So now same type of thing. I'm using the minimize, and I'm just resizing it and placing over on the side. So let's go ahead. And this is a great way to be able to have these side by side so they can not only get their information, they can fill out the widget, Take that data and it will now go into your Mortgage Coach account, but they can also receive a copy of this presentation, so through that share button. So they'd be able to share it through the email. So if you have this on a display as desktop, don't worry, they can go ahead and do an email as well. Well, they can't. That will actually go into your email. So with that, you could go ahead and provide this information. If it's on a mobile, it does have that share, and you'll be able to share that button. Not a problem, Les. It does take a little bit, but as you just start going in, just create the widget and just work with it. Fill out the information, see how it carries over. And it's really, for me, it's also that it's just doing it and understanding it. So if you just go through, go into your settings, click on that widget, and then just modify text and see how that works. So, and then go ahead, always make that update, click on the link, put it in the tab, and then fill out that information and then send it to you. And just see how that how it works, and then you'll be able to see what the customer is going to experience. Okay, with the widget, one other item before we go into templates. On our presentations, we have a Start Now button. This Start Now button, if you click on it, it will then take you to a particular web page. Usually what you want to do is put in your web page for it. I have put in the Mortgage Coach demo page. So with that, let's go back to the presentation. It's just a Start Now. A lot of times people point this to their application page or the starting process of just collecting that data. So to be able to have that on your presentations, again, it's in your settings account. And you'll see when we go to that demo page, you can see that ID that I have, mortgagecoach.com/demo. Now when we go into settings, if you look about halfway down the screen, the Start Now address. Put the email or put the web page that you want to point to, and then that Start Now button will then go ahead and point to that web page. It will open up into a separate web browser and provide that information to the borrower. So with that, and once you've done that or make any kind of adjustments, always remember to press Save in the lower right-hand corner, and that will save your changes to your settings. So now with that, let's go ahead and start talking about fee and product templates. And just one moment, let me just check out this screen. Okay. So we've talked about fee and product templates a little bit last week on our call. And what I want to do is just really slowly show you and develop those fee templates, and then also create the product template that you can use with it. If you're on an enterprise account, this is and have an API, if you have Optimal Blue or any of those type of interfaces, developing your fee and product templates will make it a two-touch process for you. So really create those templates and dive into it. So to start a new template, just go ahead and press the New button. You could go ahead and put any kind of identifier. So I'm just going to go ahead and put fee template, and I'm putting today's date. If you originate in multiple states, you could go ahead and place the state, and then it will go ahead and define your search better. We also have a copy for those of you who have multiple, again, originate multiple states. We have a copy function because sometimes fee is just slightly different, but again, you don't want to have to make that change. So develop that template. So let's go ahead and press OK. And now with the fee template, I'm started. You'll see over on the right-hand side, it's completely empty. And with that, you could just start building. And I always suggest just get a fee worksheet from your system. Some people have Excel sheets, and that works quite well too. You just need your fee description, dollar amount, and if it's an APR fee or not. So let's go ahead and add a couple fees. So we're going to just add an APR and a non-APR. Then we'll go ahead and go into how to develop a custom fee, and then we'll discuss contributions. So let's go ahead and add a fee. So let's add processing. So if I open up my descriptors in my drop-down, type the letter P, look for processing, there it is right there, select it, put in that dollar amount, and I'm going to mark it as an APR item. So you can see how you could just use that drop down, find the fee rather quickly, enter the dollar amount, whoops, let's put it back to processing fee, and it removes that PPE, and mark it as APR. So now let's enter a non-APR fee, and that's just going to be the appraisal. So let's go ahead and go through the drop down. I'm typing A, find my appraisal fee, put in the dollar amount, and not mark it as APR. So those are two quite simple ways of creating fees through the drop-down list that we provide. But sometimes the description's different, and you want to use your description. So it's quite easy. You just go ahead and click on that Add Custom Fee. And so I'm just going to put Custom Fee, and I'm using today's date so you can see that. And when you put this label in, you now can use this fee label for any kind of fee templates you build or any type of presentation. So once you created it once, you don't have to create it again. Now the calculation percentage, you can either go off the loan amount or the property value. So if you're dealing with any kind of special stamps, doc stamps, things like that, and you need to control that percentage based off the loan amount or the sales price property value, there's your option. If it's not a cost to loan, such as a reserve, you would want to mark it as a prepaid. But otherwise, you just leave that empty, and if the fee's APR, you would mark it here. And again, anytime you pull up this fee, it will always have that APR marked, flagged. So now let's press OK. And let me go to my questions. Oh, okay. You'll have a base set of fee descriptions that we provide. And if you do not see, oh great, Tim. And if you do not see the fee description, that is when you want to create a custom fee description. I also want to point out, if you ever want to update that description, just in the lower left-hand corner, you see the word fees, and you see all the custom fees that were created. So if I go down, I can see my custom fee. Where'd it go? You'll be able to do it. Just pull one up. I'm just going to pull one up. Make the modification, press OK, and then it will update those fees. And Tim Leary had a question on the PPE, but I explained it, but one more time, PPE is like a prepaid escrow item. Short-term area on our graphs do not show any of no cost, like escrow items. So those items need to be marked as PPE. Otherwise, it's a cost of loan and be included in that short-term area. So that's how you create a custom fee within it, and now it's always going to be in your drop-down for use for any other type of fee templates. And now let's talk about contributions and how you can enter it in the system. A lot of people like to automatically just put the contribution label in there, even if there may not be a contribution at that time. On the purchase, what they feel is maybe it will get that conversation going, maybe with the seller or something. If you add a fee in your drop-down, I'm typing the letter C, and I'm looking for the label contribution. And I also want to point out, we have a label contribution, but what I've been finding out a couple times when you're working the support ticket, that people create their own line called contribution. And if you do, what happens is that there's no logic built because it's a custom label. So always use the one that we have in here, and let me go ahead and bring that up. And what happens with the contribution label is you can enter that contribution as a positive amount. So say they had a $1,000 contribution. You could then identify who it's being paid by, if the lender or the seller's paying that amount. Again, it's just the single label, contribution, and we have the logic to know to reduce the cash to close by that amount. So if you want to use a different description, like say seller contribution, there's no logic. So let me show you how you can put that in there. It's not going to be part of my template, but since we're talking about contributions, I want to tie it all together. So what you would do, say you went ahead and put in seller contribution. You just want to be able to have that title a little more defined. So you press OK. I have now, I can use it all the time. It's in my drop down. But the way you're going to have to use this on your files is you need to enter that as a negative. So if I had a $1,000 contribution from the seller, I would have to identify it as a negative, and it has to be paid by the borrower to offset that cash to close. Because remember, this is a custom label and there's no logic. So that's the reason for the negative and having it paid by the borrower. Otherwise, user contribution, you can enter as a deposit, positive number, and then identify who it's being paid by. So both ways of being able to use that. Also want to point out, if you ever want to remove a fee, just press that trash can and it removes it from your list, just as it does in that presentation. Now, once you have your fees built, say you want to build a couple more, if you look at the bottom left, you have a Save As button. That Save As button is your copy. So I could go ahead and I'm going to put copy fee template. Again, say this one now is, okay, I got my base one. If you want to put a specific state, press OK. You'll now notice in the upper right-hand corner the test for a specific state. And then it copied all those fees that we had from the previous template we created. And then you can just go in, modify the fee, add a fee, credit report. You can see I have quite a few. I know, just pick a fee, huh? Add fees, and then this fee template will be different than the one that you copied from. So that it just makes it quick, easy. If you're building conventional and FHA, build the conventional first. A lot of times I see FHA doesn't have the tax service, you remove it. So there's a quick copy, then you could do the conventional and copy it to the VA, and usually the seller pays the tax service fee. Yes. What Les is asking about the Save As copy function here, is it the same as in the presentation? Exactly. If you're creating a presentation, there's also a Save As button. You could save the template you just built, and it will be listed here. So you then can come in here, take a look at those fees that you had built, saved from that presentation, and always make any kind of updates necessary. So yes, the Save As function is the same as in the TCA. So it depends where you want to build. Wow, Taffy, that's a lot of questions, but I got it. So so Taffy, are you using the lump sums fees more than you are itemizing? And then I could take that question and be able to direct you a little more. So one of the things, oh, okay. So what she wants to know is how to be able to do lump sum fees opposed to doing itemized fees like this. And she's doing it for marketing purposes. So let me show you how that is and how you could do it. So that is a different way of fee templates. And Taffy, there is no way, we only have templates for fee templates for itemizing your fees. But if you're building a marketing template and you want to use lump sums, do it in your product template. And let me show you how, because we're just going to segue from fee templates to create a product template, and this way I can also discuss lump sum versus detail. And then we'll go in and delete in a moment. Okay, so with the product templates, what a product template can do for you is default quite a few items so you don't have to key them in. So when you select a product template, you can bring in all your fees and your monthly cost. So that's going to save you a lot of time when creating a presentation. And if you're using an API such as Optima and Blue, this is great to be able to have because you change your title, apply a product template, you're done. So let's go ahead and just take a look at this. So if you're on an enterprise account, for those of you who are, they might have some fee templates built for you. If they do, you will not see them in your settings under product templates, only in your drop-down. These are the product templates that you create, but sometimes what we suggest, and the organization provides you fee templates, but you might know, the escrow items, certain things a little more. You want to redefine it, and you can use that Save As button, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. I think I'm going off tangent here, but there is another way of working the fees. So with that, let's go ahead and put in a product template title. So this can be anything. If you put asterisk in front of the label, these would sort before it goes into the alpha order. So these will be on top of your list. So you can do asterisk marketing, so you always have that up top. So depending on the product, and let's just review this FHA. So with this FHA, I made sure my template had upfront premium. You can select all the difference depending on your product. This particular one, I want to use a 3.5% down payment. If I have this in here, never mind, we'll avoid. Prepaid interest, I'm going to quote 15. You want to quote 10, that's fine. Just put in your quotes, put in your term. I'm going to have a fixed rate product. It's just like creating a product in your presentation. And then you'll see these grayed out fees or fields. What this is doing is I applied a fee template. And what I'm going to do, Taffy, is remove that fee template. So this way it will show you how to remove closing costs from a product or from a presentation. So you'll see the grayed out areas. So if you ever want to modify grayed out areas here or in your presentation, remember you have to go into your closing cost details. And if you're creating a product template, you want to go to the closing cost details to choose the template for that product. Once you choose that template for the product, you would apply it. They would total those APR and non-APR fees and gray out these screens. Now say you want to open these screens up. You click on your closing cost details and you have to remove all the fees. Once I've removed all the fees from my closing cost details, I apply to template, and now those fields are opened up. And this works exactly in your presentation as it does in the product templates, these fields. So with that now, Taffy, you could go ahead and put in that quote as a lump sum opposed to itemizing. So this is how lump sum would be, and again, that's all that would show non-APR costs as a lump sum opposed to itemization. So Taffy, if that explained that piece to you, I know you had another piece on lender credit we could come back to, but please let me know if that clarified what you were asking. Want to point out, let's put back that closing details. So I'm going to go back into my template or closing costs, and I'm going to apply a fee template. You see how it populates down? This is how it would work if you're creating a presentation. And, maybe possibly, your office might be $475 for the appraisal fee. Great, I'm glad it's clear. And definitely we have this call recorded, and you could go, we're about 30 minutes in, so you can go back into it in that area and listen about that deleting. So with that, I'm going to apply to template. So now once I apply it to the template, it went ahead, totaled those APR, non-APR costs, and grayed out those fields so you can see how you can pull it. Next, you want to go ahead and update the monthly cost because this is going to save you time so you don't have to touch anything in this screen. Put in an estimated hazard, property tax, And I'm doing a 3.5% down FHA. My MI is 0.85. FHA loans, USDA loans, make sure you have Calc MI on balance. This will go ahead and provide the calculation of the MI for declining balance and your minimum term. So we want to carry MI for the life of the loan, so we're putting in 360. I press OK. Then I went ahead and defaulted my 1.75 for my upfront MIP and add it to loan amount. I'm going to collect 2 months reserve for hazard and 4 months for taxes, and then I'm collecting a premium. So you can see all the items that are defaulted. So now let's take a look at the presentation, or how to create a presentation using that product template, Lori PC for OB. So now I'm just going to cheat for a moment. I'm just going into New Client so we could focus solely on how to apply that product template. So now I'm in the products, and I'm going to go ahead and put in my purchase price of $350,000. And you can see there's no data at all, just started. And now what we want to do is go into Harlow, do you, in the presentation or in the product templates? He's asking where to get the closing cost details. Okay, so now when you go to the product template and go to the drop down, let's apply the template I just built. So here it is, Lori PC for OB. That's my product code. And you'll see that it came over and gave me my down payment defaulted, calculated that amount, calculated that base loan amount, and then provided my term. If I was using this template with an API like Optimal Blue or Velma or any of those, the interest rate would have stayed. So that would have carried, and you would apply the template, and that interest rate would be there for you. So let's just go ahead and put it in. Whoa, that's a high one. Interest rate, and I'm going to advance the screen. And remember, when you advance the screen, your data on the upper right-hand graph starts showing. And then you'll notice now, before we go into the closing cost details, my fees are populated. It already defaulted for me. My 1.75 also is there. I have a cash issue right now with my number. And let's see, let me just go ahead and correct this. I'll get this corrected in a moment. But you can see how the fees populated down, the prepaid interest. Say you have a variable fee, then what you would do is just go into the closing cost details, and usually it's lender or owner's title, and you could go ahead and place in that dollar amount. So now your fees are updated. So unless these fees have changed at all, they shouldn't. You would just update it, apply it to loan. We then recalculate any numbers that were affected, update those, advance the next screen, and you're done. All your monthly costs are there. So that's how it's important creating those product templates, either if you're creating a presentation directly from Mortgage Coach, or if you're starting through an API such as Optimal Blue. So let me go back to settings, so I'll show you where those product templates are. So if you go into settings, go into product template. So on the right-hand side, it just looks just like the presentations, but it's putting the screens over into a button. So if you click on the closing cost details, you will have the same drop down, the same fees that you did in your presentation. So you can pick any of those, update it, modify if needed, and then apply it to that product template. And same with the monthly costs. This is the third screen, and this is all the details that you went ahead and defaulted in that will make it into the presentation. So did that answer your question, Harlow? I believe that's what you had wanted. Perfect, great. Okay. So now that we've covered fee and product templates, I'm going back to the home screen. And what I want to do is just show you how to copy a master template. But this is, we're going to physically do the copy and show you exactly what is provided to you. So I'm actually going to work in the partner section for this, because you could then see the details of copying a partner presentation both ways. So let's go ahead and view all. I'm just going to go ahead and bring up all my partner presentations. So you can see a list. Let's go ahead and close up all these. You can see all the realtors that you are working with. And you'll see I have some redundant ones, but you don't need to have your realtors in there. You only have to have them in there once. Once you create one file, you'll have all their contact information, the logo, the image, their details. Then you're going to do a copy. So with that, you can keep all the presentations for your realtor under one location. So the copy function also helps you organize and be able to do a quick function and have all their details. So let's go ahead and work with this one. You'll see that I have the property address showing in the here. This comes from the friendly name field. And if you fill out the information for in the friendly name field, it will place it right in front of that date and timestamp. So with that, especially with the open house presentations, if I came in here trying to find a specific presentation, if I did not use that friendly name field, I would have to go into each one or remember the date and the time I last accessed it. So let's go ahead and do a copy. So I'm going to go ahead and click Copy Analysis. So with the copy analysis, you could do one of two ways of copying. You can copy into the current partner, meaning I'm going to go ahead and copy all these details, contact information, and create a new presentation for that same partner. Or say I like all the products I have, but I have a new partner. This will allow you to copy it to a new partner, and there's no contact information in there, and you're starting fresh. So let's see how each of one of these work and walk through the copy piece. We're first going to start with current partner, and we'll see what displays here. I'm going to press OK, and my file is now copied. You see how the friendly name field is empty? So let's go ahead and put in today and put in the date. So this way we can go back when we're using the copy feature again. We'll be able to identify this particular product. You can see all the products that were on the previous presentation carried over as well. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. It copied all the details as well as my products. And then if you move to the contact information, you can see how this is where it's really saving you time. It's copying all that contact information, their image and logo, and you don't have to key that in a second time. So that's a quick way of, okay, I'll be showing that. So with that, let's go ahead and go back onto the home screen. I have a question asking, how do you copy one that is on the home screen? The copy function is only in the view all, so you would just have to know which one, and the best way is that friendly name field. So I'm going to go ahead and go into view all. I'm going to search all, and then we'll do another search where only search for Liz. But you can see here we have Training Thursday. See how I updated my friendly name field? This is going to be able to identify each of those presentations for you. So we did that copy analysis, and we copied into a current partner. But say you like the presentation and the products you created, but you have a new realtor partner that you want to send it to. Press New Partner, press OK. And you'll see how the partner's information is stripped now from your data field. So if you advance, we have the information. You also have all your products, and your contact information is left empty. Now there is one more way of doing a copy, and what this will allow you to do is start a new presentation with no data, only with the contact information from your realtor. So if you want to start a presentation with contact data only, press search, and you can pull up a presentation, or you could just leave it on her name or your partner's name. The button you want is add analysis. So you can see how when I highlight Liz's name here or with the presentation, there's additional button add analysis. So what this is doing is starting the process by copying all that contact information. So they're asking, do you want to add another one? Yes, we do. So see how all that contact information carried over and the product information is completely empty. Your street name is completely empty as well as your images. When you go into your products, you can start fresh with all new products. But when you go to the contact information, that information's all there. So you don't have to redundantly key in that contact information as well as the image and logo. So there's 3 ways of copying a presentation. All copy are done through the view all. You can narrow down your search if you want to be able to do that. You press search and you can see all your presentations, all your realtor partners or financial partners, and you can keep it organized just by opening up their file and either using the copy analysis, which copies their contact and products, or do an add analysis starting fresh with their contact information. And before I get the question, you can delete analysis, but some accounts do not have this delete button per their organization. So if you don't see it, it's your organization keeping history. Okay, let's see if there's any questions. Okay. I don't have any questions coming through the box. Is there, I know Taffy wanted to see a lender credit real quick. Are there any other items that anyone wants me to be able to show? I'm just going back through my questions here. If you do, go ahead and put it in the question area. And let me show Taffy really quick. I'm just going to open up one of my files and discuss lender credit. Let's go into product. So let's go ahead and put in the sales price. We're going to go ahead and use that template, put in a rate, and then let's go ahead and discuss that lender credit. So if I go into my closing cost details, my fees are already there. So now let's say I have a lender credit. If I go to the base, I'm going to go ahead and add custom fee. I want to have a label, lender credit. Remember, there's no logic. But now what you're going to have to do, because there's no logic, to offset that dollar amount, you have to enter it as a negative. Also want to point out, you can put in a negative percentage as well. I guess you can. So you'll be able to go ahead and place that in there, and it shows as a negative amount to offset that cash to close. And to have it correct, you need to make sure it's paid by the borrower. And this will go ahead and offset that cash to close. Otherwise, use our contribution field. So with that, I'm just going to contribution. Sorry, I got so many. It should be ours should always be the first contribution in the line. You can add it as a positive and identify lender seller. Okay, that's a great question. So it's either or, Tim. If you want, a lot of people want to put in their contribution within the fee details, but you can put it, and this is where that negative point goes that it can put in. You can put the negative here. So if you're also using, Optimal Blue starting, they do have their pricing come over, and you will see that either positive or negative percentage. And if you hover your mouse over it, you can see that dollar amount as well. So if you want, you could just use this. Also, on the presentation itself, it has its own line item, this field as points. So that's another little advantage there. Okay, any other questions that are on? Let me go ahead and pull. I got to put in a name first, and then, okay, we got it. Let me just pull that up, and I'll show you how that point displays, Tim. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and go into the more info. Seems like my computer's a little slow right now. Okay. Instead of waiting for my data to come up, just want to point out there, Tim, there is the line for points. So if you do show as negative for that rebate pricing, this is where it could go. It will also be as a line item in the details as well, not as a down where the prepaid interest is in the blue area. Okay. Any other questions we have until we wrap up this call? Unless I'm with you, I get it. So with that, so while I'm going through some of the cleaning house, if you do have any last minute things, go ahead and put it in the question area. Let's go ahead and just show the help button. This is where you could get a copy of the recorded call. I'll show you where to get that. And also great way of finding information. With that, you can do searches. So if I wanted to search about mortgage insurance, you could spell it out. You can abbreviate it, do a search. And then we have all our video assets or frequently asked questions. Up here, great reference links are the first section. Playlist and scripting is that middle area. And then we have our featured walkthroughs. Yes, Les, I can follow up with that. Okay, perfect. And Taffy, I don't believe we actually, we do record it, but let's see, let's go in here. What we have is to get to our calendar events, click on this. We have great trainings, additional one day, each day of the week we have something. Intro class on Monday, coaching calls on Tuesday, mobile Wednesday, training Thursday. Check it all out on the events calendar. And then on the coaching call archive, let's, we don't post those webinars on the mobile, but go ahead and email us at support. We could probably get you that link, Taffy. This is where the orange, this is where our coaching calls as well as today's training will go ahead and be posted right here. So with that, you could go ahead and get any of that kind of information. Also want to go back to the help button, and we'll go ahead and click on that calendar of events. If you have not already attended, attend our Mortgage Coach University. We host that the first 3 weeks of the month. There are two areas. Let's go ahead and click on it just to be able to provide you that information. We have an MCU 101 and 102 trainings. And with that, it's great. It'll just be able to, we did a lot of these little trainings today, how to create your widget, things like that. But it's great. You'll be able to, if you want a particular presentation, understanding it, go ahead and sign up and join for that day. So it's always the first 3 weeks of the month at 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So those are all the topics, so you can really dive into it. So thank you, everyone, and thank you for attending this call. If you have any questions at all, please email us at support@mortgagecoach.com. You're welcome, Les. We'll talk to you all later. Thank you, everyone.